we're going to start with our first story, our first good news story, Jake. And I was thinking at work today, what are some good news stories? Like, it's difficult to find them, isn't it? It's difficult to troll the news and trawl the news and try and find some good news stories. You can troll the news if you want.
Yep.
And I was walking around.
Murdoch's been doing it for years. Zing!
And I found myself singing some of the Powderfinger songs that have been played on their One Night Lonely new EP that they released. And I thought, gosh, that's good news, isn't it? That Powderfinger got back together. Were you a Powderfinger fan?
I was a Powderfinger fan, and it was actually helped. I just want to take a side note to say how much pleasure I get out of saying the term Powderfinger fan. But
can I just interrupt you there, Jake? I promise I'm not going to do that all episode. But Pete James, who I believe is maybe a host of the Aussie English podcast, just sent us a beautiful message about his good news, our first one for the night, and he said that he is watching on the toilet.
Oh, fantastic!
Well done, Pete. How's it going on there? Talk us through.
He's getting his business done while he's checking out other business. Anyway,
Skype us in live, Pete. Skype us in live. Tell us about Powderfinger.
Yeah, exactly. I was a Powderfinger fan. Enjoyed them immensely through my 20s, but I also ended up buying a house quite near to Bernard Fanning, the lead singer.
Did you?
When I lived in Moggill, he lived at a suburb near that, which I can't remember the name of.
Excellent.
Brookfield. He lived at Brookfield.
Of course.
And we were maybe 5 or 6 houses away from each other. Used to see him at the shops all the time.
Really?
He gave my daughter a high five once. Yeah, it was great.
He gave your daughter a high five?
Yeah. Well, I said, "Oh, love your stuff, Bernard." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, your daughter's so cute." And then gave him a high five.
I like to call him Bernard.
Yep. Sure, he doesn't appreciate that. Bernard Fanning. That's more. That's more fun than saying a Powderfinger fan.
I quite like this article here and it was just such a beautiful concert. I was chatting to my mate at work, Tim. Hi, Tim. And
hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Big sponsor of the show.
Big sponsor of the show. Thanks for all of your money. And he just bought a house. Well, he finished building his house. His house is being finished built, and he's moving in like the next couple of days. So that's very exciting. Good news for him.
Very
it's
exciting.
a good news episode.
Also, the most stressful time of your life is when you move into a new house. But congratulations, Tim.
That. And I was chatting with him today.
Continue.
I was chatting with Tim today about the Powderfinger, and he said, how do you feel? Obviously being an ancient man, about Powderfinger reuniting. And I said, look, I'm not one of those people who likes to hang on to things. If a band breaks up and they get a new singer or something, I find it really hard to sort of get back into the swing of it. I think that bands who are famous, it's like a cultural shift, and it's sort of like a cultural thing. And I don't want to sort of get stuck into a trap of hanging on to that too much, So it was great when they were on, because they just nailed it. And Bernard's voice just sounded great. The whole band sounded tight. They sounded just like they did years and years ago. Maybe a little bit of age in Bernard's voice, but other than that, and it didn't matter anyway. I mean, those songs have obviously aged so well. That they opened up with "Bless My Soul," and I've just been having that on repeat, and it's just been fantastic. Yep. I loved it. So really, really good news that they're getting back together.
Absolutely. As I said, I really enjoyed them throughout my 20s. And, looking forward to seeing what they do next.
Well, I think they're going to keep going. I think they're going to do stuff.
Oh, no, that's too much of an ask.
And I want to go and see them now, Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can. You can watch them live from their practice studio.
The performance was reportedly streamed 350,000 times. I actually played it I played it to my students, and just one song for those listening, just in case my boss is listening. We didn't spend all day listening to Powderfinger, heaven forbid. We spend all day listening to Sia, but and they said, "Oh, Mr. Savage, it's number one on trending on YouTube," and I was like, "Is it really?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is cool." So I didn't feel like such an old person, they were number one on trending on YouTube. So congratulations to them. They raised $427,000 in donations. Think for Beyond Blue and Support Act. So fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.